You've been watching The Matrix this week.
No, these are just have been some things that have been like,
Yeah.
popping around in my head for the past, little bit. Just
No, it's a valid
interesting.
statement. I agree with that. Saying, hey, boo, can't hear you. Well, who you whooping? She had that belt on deck. Okay, Fizz. She rolled that thing up too. Like I was like, dang, okay, who got in trouble?
Somebody gonna tore him out.
I guess so. Or a time in. Oh, what a time. Oh man.
Happy Pride community. Here's what's brewing today.
Palm Springs and Carmex.
Ask Yo Aunteas, daddy issues.
And Curiositea pride flags. So get your cups ready for Minoritea Report.
Hey, welcome to Minoritea Report. It's Auntie Kerel.
It's Auntie Dwan.
And it's Auntie Jerrell.
Hey. And two of us are on location this week.
Yeah, look. But I just, I have to give, Auntie Kerel a hand clap here. Because if y'all would have saw her in Palm Springs, ooh, girl, I landed. I said, "Ooh, girl, you ain't gonna have no voice the next time."
None.
And
like,
you
what night was
a
it?
lot better.
Yeah, like
than I was expecting.
When I laugh, I can still feel it and hear it. But yeah, I would say I'm about 90-95% there. But
Girl.
What night was it that like I had like Sunday night?
Sunday night.
Like it was like a top 3 hoarseness that I've ever had in my life. Like I was like. I could not talk for the life of me.
Now it's talking until like 2 o'clock in the morning, girl.
Honey.
Girl, why you screaming?
You know how I get. I get happy and singing and yelling. And then I was at the bar like later than the rest of them, like meeting some San Diego friends. So you're trying to talk above the music and things like that. And then you're drinking. It's already dry in the desert too.
The rest of us was at the house, kicking at the pool. Auntie Kerel is still at the club, stopping, bopping. I think it was 8 o'clock. I said, did anyone check in on my girl? I said, are you alive? No, so I was like, you alive? Question mark.
And that was it. I was like,
I ain't seen her. Ain't nobody.
And I had no concept of. I had no concept of time. But nobody brought me up or nothing. God, they said forget Kerel.
I said, where my auntie at? I didn't.
Thank you, boo. But yeah, so we had another little sprinkle of pepper in the sea of salt moment. Out in Palm Springs. There was actually maybe a few more. There
were actually more black folks that I saw that I was expecting. I don't know if Ron's listening, but hey, Ron. She's from LA, and I know her through like Paul and DT. It's from my Minneapolis crew. And so it just happened to run into her, and it was her birthday that weekend too, and it was like just so good to see her. So it was nice to see other melanin.
It was
so
nice.
Give us the rundown of the weekend.
Oh Lord!
I mean that's shareable,
right? Everything's shareable. I think. I'll say this: it was nice to finally just get away, like because I haven't had like a vacay day, and even like around Christmas, it was starting to like gear up for the move and things like that. So I hadn't just had a moment of just like chilling out in a while, probably since like October of last year. So it was just nice to just get away, not think and things like that. Obviously hang with friends and all that stuff, but just to simply not think for a while was what I needed. But yeah, I mean, debauchery, a lot of drinks, a lot of White Claws, a lot of vodka, a lot of Rage Cage drinking games that Jerrell taught us.
I was getting the girls fucked up. I was getting them. Look, people over there just casually drinking. Some people by the pool. People just watching TV. Some people on their phones. Like, we're here to be, to be celebrating birthdays and milestones and shit like that. And I said, where is the energy? So I was like, let me bring out some drinking games. So we played Rage Cage. Had the girls taking shots. Kerrell had to take a shot of vodka. She
didn't even know it was vodka. Though. I thought it was like a White Claw. And I was like, oop. I was like, oh, that's not fair.
Shit back into the cup, and she said, "Is this supposed to taste like this?" I said, "Yeah, it's vodka." She said, "Oh,
right."
Drink it.
It's like you got to prepare Auntie Vodka to take vodka. But then Joanne, our sis Jerrell, bless her little heart sometimes, because the first one I'm gonna say is we're in an Uber ride and a song comes on. So it was Jody Watley, by the way, and Landon. Hey, shout out Landon. Happy belated birthday. That's why we're out in Palm Springs. Him and James, our friend James. Happy birthday, guys, again. At first, it was a Jody Watley song, and Landon was like, who is this, Paula Abdul? And I'm like, oh my God, ladies. But then here goes Jerrell.
Well, first, no. First, Kerrell Shady Ass was like, actually, Jerrell, this is Jody Watley. Remember, you didn't remember who she was? And she time-stamped everything.
So like, did.
Yeah, that was the Anita Baker episode.
That tracks. That tracks.
And then, so he's doing that, and then he's in the front seat, and then my left side is Auntie Landon. And she was like, oh, is this Paula Abdul? And I was like, oh, I didn't know. I thought it was Paula Abdul too. And I was like, because isn't that the girl who sings Black Cat? I was like, don't she sing that song Black Cat?
Oh my God.
And they were like, that's Janet Jackson. I was like, well, I know Janet Jackson.
No, first there was like a pause of like quietness.
Yeah. And Auntie Jerrell was in the car too. Okay.
Yeah.
So like literally I am in
the other Jerrell. Yeah.
And
I was like, you don't know that's Janet Jackson? He's like, yeah, I know Janet Jackson has a black cat, but doesn't Paula Abdul? I'm like, Paula, and then I'm trying to think, like, what does he mean? Then he's like, wasn't she in the video with a cat? I was like, opposites attract, Jerrell? And I was like, the cat wasn't even black.
And I was like, well, that cat wasn't dancing like a white person, so I just thought it was like, the spirit of my people in a cat.
I was like, I cannot.
I was a kid. It was a cartoon. A child sees a cat dancing. It's gonna mean a whole different other thing. I didn't even know anything about Paula Abdul.
The cat wasn't even black, though.
I don't know. I didn't understand it. I just thought it was. I just made up some Looney Tune, Tom and Jerry like.
Not Janet Jackson and Paula Abdul having a black cat dual,
right?
Like a versus. Who did it better?
Which black cat is better?
Let me tell you. So, like the whole time,
can we imagine Paula Abdul singing a song called "Black Cat"?
No,
that don't even.
I also thought they didn't like each other. Isn't that a thing too?
No, they get along quite well.
No, they got
I don't know. I just thought Paula Abdul was trying to be Janet Jackson, and I never really got into Paula Abdul. And
Paula Abdul was like her choreographer.
She was one of her first choreographers, and
I had no idea.
Yeah, and that got her into the business of doing music. So really, it was she started as a Laker girl, and then she choreographed their routines and whatnot. And then she started working with other artists, and then she started working with Janet Jackson for the majority of her videos, and then that parlayed Paula into actually doing her own music career. And she came out with Straight Up Not Tell Me.
3 black pop princesses, goddesses, queens in a matter of 2 minutes. Jody Watley, Janet, and Paula.
No. I didn't say Janet because I knew.
Yes, you did, because you didn't know what song. Maybe not Janet.
No, I cleared that exactly because I said I knew Janet Jackson's song "Black Cat."
Okay.
I just thought that Paula Abdul also had a song called
Black Cat.
It
was called Black Pussy.
Right. Seriously.
I only know Paula Abdul really from American Idol. I don't know much about Paula Abdul. I didn't listen to a lot of Paula Abdul.
My love is for real.
No.
That might be my favorite Paula song. But and so this is before we get to the bar that evening. And so then we get to the bar.
Shit. That was the whole night. That was the same night.
Yep. And so then we get to the bar, and like the bar is packed or whatever, but finally we like get these 2 seats by the bar. So it's Jerrell and I sitting next to each other, like landing everybody over here, whatever. And I just had like I'm like kind of like this. If you're watching YouTube, make sure you're subscribing and everything like that. So if you're watching YouTube, you're seeing what I'm doing with my body. So I'm kind of like my back a little bit to Jerrell, but not much. And then I kind of like square up to the bar and look over. And I'm like, Jerrell, what are you doing? And I look down and she is taking like a tube of chapstick, rubbing her finger on it, and rubbing it on her inner thighs. She's like, girl, my thighs are burning. She's like, they rub it together, girl.
Girl.
And I'm like, oh my God, Jerrell. What are you doing? And then the night progresses.
She's gonna have old lady thighs by the time she's 40. You know, big mama thighs. You know, the ones that turn all black on the inside.
Oh, they're already going there. They're already headed that direction.
And I'm like, oh my God. And then next thing you know, she got paper towels like tucked into her thighs so they would rub together. I'm like, what? My friend, I love you, boo.
Let me look, community. I had told y'all a couple of weeks ago that I have been going through. I have been wearing compression shorts and leggings underneath my clothes.
And she had her daddy hoochie shorts on that night, so she could get her compression shorts.
Because you know it's hoochie daddy season, you know, so I had on my hoochie daddy shorts. And so there was no material in between these thighs. And if you took a straw, or you ever see like when they take a stick and they rub it like this to spark a flame, like to start a fire, that's what my thighs be doing. That's my thighs.
Oh my God.
They rub against each other so much that I get blisters in between my thighs. And this was the first weekend in 4 weeks that I did not wear compression shorts or leggings underneath my pants or shorts.
I was dying. When you say like, I was dying laughing because it was just the most ignorant thing on earth. It was everything.
But you know what? My thighs smell like Carmex and watermelon though. Shit, I smell really tooty down there, bitch.
I was like, my friend is going through it tonight.
The struggle was real. The struggle. I was like, I couldn't sit down. I had to wobble like this because my legs are so big that I could not let them touch.
It was too much for me. It was too much. I was like, oh my Lord, she going through it.
They said it's time to go. I said, yep, let's go. I'm ready to go home. I never want to put on clothes so fast in my life.
Oh my God.
It was a mess. But literally in the bar, legs like this.
I'm talking about like on the chair. like I'm talking on the chair like this. Let me show y'all. I'm talking about on the chair at the bar like this. Taking the chopstick, putting lips in the other one, just rubbing it in there, massaging the inner thighs, girl.
I was like, oh my God.
And I'm in the front of the bar. So you enter the bar and this is the welcome. I'm greeting you.
Yes.
Legs open.
Yes, if you've ever been to Hunters of Palm Springs, that's where it was at.
I'm sure she was the talk of the whole town. Like,
honey,
y'all remember going out that night and seeing that girl at the bar with her legs pried open, trying to get rid of them crabs?
Like, it was a mess.
Let me tell you, I looked like I was going through something.
It was a mess. But no, it was fun. I mean, we all had our little Speedos on. We had our little caftans on from Cafco. Hey, Cafco. And Cafco, by the way, I'm gonna put this out as a clip. Hey, Cafco, we love you. I think we're giving you some business. Look, come back on and let's do a little promo code with Minority Report to give the followers and the communities some promos to get a little, the discount. Let's work out something. Thank you.
Yes.
But yeah, no, we had all our little Cafcos on. I don't know. It was just needed. It was necessary. And then like the last day, Jerrell and Fizz flew out of LA, and so then we got to meet up with Mo, grab a couple drinks in LA, and then Lana and I went back out with her that night. And I didn't tell you guys yet. I ran into Jasmine Masters too.
Did you really?
Yeah, because we ended up going to Mickey's, and so they had like a little drag night there. So like Cornbread was performing. Maddie Morphosis performed.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah. But then like Jasmine was just in the crowd, and so we were just standing there, and I look back. You know, like when you like somebody, like eyes or something, you both looking at each other like, I know you, but why do I know you kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, that's Jasmine. So I went up to her. I'm like, hey. And she's like, hey, gave her a hug. And I was like, you don't know who I am. She's like, I recognize you, but why do I know you? I was like, Minority Report. She's like, oh shit, what's up? She is tiny as shit. She's shorter than you think and like just skinny. I was like, okay, come on, little slender queen. Yes, bitch. Yes. But yeah, I ran into her. So that was cool to go out with Mo that night as well. And we saw, I need to look to see if this is on the Shade Room or something anywhere. So it was Landon, Mo, and I at Pink Taco in LA, just grabbing dinner. And the manager comes up to a table. They're like, do you drive a black Lamborghini SUV? I was like, I wish, but no. So he goes to the next table, and it's this dude, like just blinged out, had like a necklace that said joy and like all diamonds and everything like that, and was like with a lady. And he's like, oh shit. Someone had broke into his car in the parking lot next to the building and stole all his jewelry out of it.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So he was like freaking the F out. And so we're all just sitting there looking at this go down. We're like, oh my God. But like, it seemed a little suspect because we're like, we didn't hear any car alarm go off because like we're sitting like outdoors. The attendant that was in the parking lot that took our money, like I'm like, where was this attendant? Because he was just out there like 20 minutes ago taking our little $20. Like, so it felt real insider jobbish, either at Pink Taco or I don't know what, or the attendant or something. But I was like, damn, clearly he must be somebody.
Yeah.
Because that car's like a $300,000 car and stole all his jewelry and the amount of jewelry he had on. I was like, okay, we're going to see this on TMZ or something.
Why do you have like, I don't understand why you would have just like, oh, here, let me go pick up all this jewelry and then let me make a pit stop at
Pink Taco.
Pink Taco.
Right.
Make that make sense.
Yeah. Exactly. We couldn't figure it out either. So we're like, okay.
I mean, the reality of it is that if you're insured, if you're insured, and PSA to everybody that's listening, make sure you have insurance. Get house insurance, get renter's insurance, have insurance. It don't cost a lot, but trust and believe when shit goes down you're gonna need it. That little $10 that you spend to cover your shit,
you're right.
When shit goes down, you covered. Look, like my whole apartment can burn down. I'm like, burn down. I'll buy all new. So like, because and that's one of the things, like a lot of people who have, like who are, celebrities and whatnot, they don't really trip that much over their stuff that gets, I mean, they don't trip over the value of the stuff that gets stolen, because oftentimes they end up getting paid out on that stuff anyway. Yeah. So that's really not the thing. It's really more the invasion of their privacy.
Look up his age. I doubt he was insured. And then he called someone on FaceTime. He's like, man, I'm slipping. Like, just so he knew better kind of thing. And forward to like the way, because the way he parked, he backed up into the parking spot, and there was like almost like a little kind of like stone wall. And so it was the back window that got smashed. So they had to like almost like squeeze between that car and the back. So that's why I'm feeling like it was someone that he knew that did this, that knew he was carrying his jewels around that night, because they like the way there was, why didn't you smash the side windows and stuff like that? They specifically smashed the back window, and to get to the back window was hard. Like you would have had to squeeze, like squoze in there.
So now it must have been a skinny bitch who did it, because let me tell you, I'm not fitting in no back window.
Exactly, and that's what me. And you saw me. It was me, Landon, and Mo. You know, our butts alone ain't about to squeeze.
And and my skinny ass was nowhere near the scene of the crime. I was on a completely different other side of the planet.
Exactly. But like, so that was crazy.
But that's one of the reasons why people say be careful about A, what you show, and B, especially for people that live on live, you have no idea who is stalking you, waiting for you to show up in a certain kind of place. Like, oh yeah, like you out there, you blinked, and especially like those that are in the music industry, that are like in the rap game, that where it's the flashier the better. there are people that are out there that are just literally looking to see where you are and where they can roll up and take advantage of you. And you out there, how many times have we seen videos of people like, you know, like in their car, like flashing stacks and whatnot, and somebody just run up to them, grab the stack and run away.
Yep. So that was one of them nights. So I was like, okay, this is a crazy ass night in LA. but yeah, no, it was a good weekend. How was your weekend with your niece and your sister?
Yeah, well, while you guys were being Satan's concubines out there in Palm Springs,
that was just Jerrell's thighs. That was just Jerrell's thighs.
I was being fucking Mary Poppins, and, you know, and the wholesome crew. It was me and my 9-year-old niece. And my sister and her boyfriend came in, and they ended up staying at in a hotel, and they were going to a game or a boxing match in Brooklyn at the Barclays. And so, you know, I got the privilege to, you know, to babysit and spend a lot of quality time with my niece for a couple of days. She actually stayed with me. And she was excited about that too. Oh my gosh, I was the one that was excited. I was so excited to spend time with her. I didn't spend like a ton of money on just like every time I see her, I was bringing like little like, you know, gifts and things like that, just so that she has stuff to like, you know, play with. She is very she operates like an only child, even though she has an older brother, but there's like 18 years apart of difference. So it's like she is an only child. So she loves spending time by herself. Like, you know, you don't have to feel bad for her. She's not missing out on hanging out with anybody and whatever. She's really good by herself. Yeah. But we had some great quality time together. We watched a bunch of movies. We you know, one of the things I love to do with my nieces and nephews is I like to cook with them. And so so we made banana pudding. We made cinnamon banana pancakes and bacon and scrambled eggs. Made some homemade chicken noodle soup. We're just like, you know, because it's just something to do with our hands and something to do together, and you know, and all that kind of fun stuff. So we had a good time.
Yeah. And he talking about us about to be in Palm Springs. He about look where he at. You see he ain't in Harlem right now, y'all.
Okay, she got bottles on bottles on bottles
right.
on bottles behind
and she
her.
About to be somewhere for the next. I don't know if you want your business on that, but she gonna be all right this weekend doing crazy things too.
Listen, by the time this comes out, I'll be gone, so I don't have to worry about people stalking where I am.
That's true. She over there gonna be. She's I'm going to. She said I'm going to P-Town this weekend.
Yeah,
I was like,
we're going to P-Town. Yeah, so I'm in Rhode Island right now for a pit stop, and then tomorrow then there's about I think there's 6 of us all together. We rented an Airbnb, and we'll be out there in P-Town. And I've never been to P-Town.
At the Dick Shop or the Dick Dock or whatever it's called.
What I mean, I don't know anything about that, but whatever ensues in this weekend, you know, forthcoming, then I will gladly participate.
Exactly.
and hopefully happily talk about it on next week.
I know that's right.
We'll see if there's anything to talk about. Maybe anything to talk about.
I know that's right.
I did have over the Memorial holiday on Monday. I had a little barbecue and had a bunch of people over, and I love when friends who don't know each other, but you have you're like the anchor of the you know, the relationships or whatever. They can come together and meet. And it's a beautiful thing when everybody gels, and that happened.
That's how Palm Springs was. Shout out to Erica and Jill, because I know they're starting to listen to the podcast already.
Yes,
so
hey y'all.
Yeah, that's how it was there. Like, it was Landon's friends from college, and we didn't know them at all, you know, whatever. And they came in, and with our craziness and our over like type A selves, fit right on in, and, you know. So I agree, like. Nothing better than that. Nothing better than that.
It's amazing, especially when, like, you know, when you're building a friendship with somebody or a couple people, and like this is an additional way for that person to experience you and what it's like to be in a friendship with you. And like, I can tell you, like, you know, like a couple of the folks that I invited, you know, said to me after, just like, man, everybody was just so like amazing and nice, and like no one was on some bullshit, and like, and I was like, yeah, you know, like that's the kind of energy that I keep around. Like I don't want anybody that's on some BS. Like they have no room in my life. So take the hint. Because if right, is
he talking to us?
No, not y'all. But you know, like,
y'all.
Look, listen,
y'all over there,
right over there.
You have to teach people how to treat you.
Right, come on, Paco. Paco's like, yeah.
He's going upstairs. Right, so everybody's.
I know that's right.
Right.
But you know, like, you gotta let, like, as much as I'm enjoying getting to know my new New York friends, you know, that because I have, you know, my old crew, you know, that's, you know, raw. But as much as I love getting to know like newer people and whatnot, I want to make sure that the vibe is right, you know. And it's one thing to hang out, you know, one time and have drinks or whatever, and or, you know, do things like socially one-on-one. But it's another thing when like you're bringing a whole mix in, because, you know, like my life is an open book, you know, but it's about respect, and I'm gonna respect you as long as you respect me and you don't bring none of that foul energy.
Well, and it's also too, it's also one of those nice things to just kind of solidify or confirm that the people that you're surrounding yourself with are good people.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, it's one thing to see people how they interact with you, but to see how they interact with other people that you care about and see they treat them with respect as well too, makes you feel like, okay, you know, you really are good people. And, you know, not only you care about me, but you care about my people that I care about as well, and you're treating them also with kindness as well too.
There's something to be said about going to a party where you only know one person. You know, that takes a lot of courage. And this was a mixed crowd, you know, gay, straight, you know, like a lot of different, like, you know, ethnicities, different languages and all that stuff. And it was beautiful that people were able to just connect and just have, you know, human moments, you know, and just have fun. So
human nature, and I'm not sorry. No, that's interesting because like I put on the list today, you guys probably don't even know why I put this on there. And I put something on there that's like gay and straight friendships, because it's something that's been on my mind lately. And how it even kind of really started was earlier, maybe 2 months ago. Like, Devon, you met my friend Emily, like Mike and Emily at my wedding, and she said, she's like, oh, did you see, because we went to Central Michigan University, and she's like, oh, did you see they're having an alumni weekend before the students get there, where you get to stay back in the dorms, go like tubing down the Chippewa, like do all the shit you did in college and relive that again. I was like, oh, that sounds like fun, let's do it, kind of thing. But it's falling on Market Days weekend, and I've been having this internal, this internal, like,
you've been having a what?
Internal struggle. Well, I'm going to probably do Market Days, but my point is...
I said, I just saw your ass 48 hours ago. That is not what I was told.
Yeah, no, I didn't tell you that because I was already thinking about it for the podcast. But I've been having this struggle of just like friendships that I invested in so long before I really was out, before I was like, you know, having gay friendships and things like that, that I might not invest as heavily in. Like, I still deeply care for them. I still text it, you know, things like that, but I might not be showing up as often. And I've been having the struggles just like, how do I balance this now? Because I still feel like I lived, quote unquote, almost like a straight lifestyle for so long that I'm still experiencing new things in the gay community, if that makes sense, and trying to rectify that. Like, I don't know why is it lately that I've been like struggling mighty heavily with it, just saying, people like my straight friends invite me to things, and I'm like, but then I have this gay event that I really want to do, and this and that. And it's not that I don't want to do the other thing, and not that I wouldn't enjoy doing that at all. But it's just like, I don't know. And so it's just interesting to hear this story that you guys were just saying. It's like, I have my gay and my straight friends. So I was like, man, should I invite them to Market Days? Like, but then you feel like you got to almost babysit at something like that, because it could be a whole lot, because it's a whole lot for the gays, you know? So like, it's just like, I don't know what that happy medium is yet for myself personally. But But yeah, it's just cool to hear these stories, and then also to see Landon have his like straight girlfriends and things like that from college. And I feel like for some reason, maybe I'm stereotyping and maybe I'm not giving the benefit of the doubt, but I feel like it might be easier for the straight females than maybe my straight male friends to be thrown into like a Palm Springs weekend or a Market Days weekend. I don't know.
So, community, let me tell you a little story about Auntie Kerel over here.
Oh Lord, what I do?
So, y'all may remember on the podcast a couple of episodes ago, we talked about straight women,
Oh yes,
gay bars,
I'm glad
right?
you're bringing this up.
And she was all like, this our space, we don't need them. So night one, when I get there on Friday, she's like, you know what? I think I might change my mind. I think it's okay. Because the one girl was like taking pictures of us and like they were minding their business and stuff right now.
Yeah.
And within 30 seconds, of course,
it was like it was the night of your Carmex night.
Right. And so then the next night, she's not like, actually, no, I changed my mind back. No, it's a no. It's a no. But she did at one point says, you know what? I think it's okay.
Because the first night was like a little chiller, and it goes back to what I even kind of said during that episode is like a lot of times straight women try to compete for the limelight at gay bars. And the night when it was just chilling and it was like Landon's friends and everything like that, and like James's friend Ava and all that was very good because they were socializing the way you should just socialize at a bar. But then literally 2 nights go by, and like that Sunday night or Saturday night, it was just herds of like bachelorette parties and all these like females in Palm Springs for Memorial Day going to the gay bar and hooting and hollering and like moving you out the way at the bar. And I'm like, this is not cool. This is not comfortable for me. I'm not like enjoying myself like the way I normally would because you guys are literally trying to overtake the situation. And so it's just like, so I was conflicted like Dewan was. I think he was the one where he was just like, he's like, I get the point of making it a safe space for them and things like that. However, I want my damn space too. And that's how I was feeling that night.
So you know what we did?
We left
and went to a leather bar. We went to a daddy leather bar. She was like,
as you should,
right?
As you should.
Except for the straight girls that came with us.
Yeah, right.
That was it.
Yeah, Jill and Erica. Ava didn't come with us this year. No.
Ava did because she met that fine dude, Nico.
Oh, she met that fine. And that's the crazy thing. So we're at the gay bar, and here's this fine dude that's in there, fine as shit. And he goes and picks up Ava, our straight girlfriend. So, like, straight dudes are even at the gay bars, like the popular gay bars now picking up straight women. So it's like, it's no longer your space. It's like, here's this fine dude. Like, you might want to be like, oh, let's flirt with this dude. And he ain't even there for dudes. Like, he's there to pick up the straight women that have come along.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. That's how I get my straight guys to come to the gay bars. I'm like, let's break this math down a little bit.
Right.
Okay. There may be like 50 women there. That's a high number or whatever. But let's say maybe there's 25. Of all the dudes there may be one person that actually might want those girls. So you could be that one.
Yeah.
You could have possibly a few to choose from. And they're like, I like math. And I'm like, so come on to the gay bar.
That dude came on in it. Because Abe was fire. Like, fire bodies, cute as shit. And
let me tell you, y'all didn't see it because y'all was outside. I was watching him double tech on her IG. Like, he was already trying to slide onto the DMs. And then she came back into the bar and swooped up and said, you coming with me?
Yeah, it was that.
That's him straight from her friend group. I was like, I like Ava. That's my kind of energy. But
yeah, she was that energy.
To your other point earlier about, feeling kind of like guilty or torn between like your straight friends, I found myself kind of having like that same kind of, like a similar kind of feeling. Like, there are some straight friends that I genuinely love. I want to like see them and hang out with them, but living in my queerness has me over here in this field.
Exactly.
And I literally have to go out my way to leave this field to make time for them, which makes me feel torn because now feel like I'm not being true to myself and what it is that I want to be there for them. But then we have conversations like this, and I talk about bringing my straight friends over here, and then some people have an issue with that. So it's just like, I don't know what to do.
I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is.
And so I say, fuck it. I live my life. I make time for people in my life, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Exactly. And I'm like, even like at the wedding, it was perfect because it was the perfect of the worlds for me. Like, it's just like, I had the straightness, I had the gayness, I had co-workers, I had some family that, you know, and that was a moment where I was like, everything seems pretty harmonious for me right now. But like day-to-day life is harder than just like an event like that, you know? So
but I think it should be. I think not that it should be harder, but I think, you know, being able to compartmentalize your relationships is what we naturally do anyway. We do that with, you know, our work people. You know, there are some people that we're cool with at work that we might not hang out with outside of work. And there may be those few people that we are cool with in work and outside of work. You know, and when it comes to like gay and straight relationships, you know, I think everybody tries, not everybody, most people try to strike the balance of how they spend their time. And there are some instances where it makes sense to integrate. And other instances, you know, it's separate can be equal too.
You're right.
You know, like there are going to be things that you'll enjoy about spending time with your straight friends because that's the thing that whether they were straight or not, that's the things that you all like to do together. And then there are going to be things that you might want to do that they may be curious about, but might not want to participate in. Like, let's say IML weekend in Chicago.
Right.
You know, like they might be
market days,
or market days, you know, but I think there's something beautiful, like for your wedding, for example, that's a perfect opportunity to bring, you know, multiple worlds together, you know, and everyone's united under one thing, which is to celebrate, you know, you and Corey and your nuptials and all that. And so it was a beautiful thing. But oftentimes feel like, you know, outside of those moments, there's very few instances where it makes sense to integrate and invite or whatever.
Yeah, that's a sad thing almost sometimes. Because honestly, I feel like this Central Michigan weekend, all my gay friends would love that as well. I don't know if it would be as, not that they wouldn't like it, it might just be too much all at once for something like a Market Days weekend, you know, the vice versa side of it.
Girl, Market Days is the gay holiday outside of Halloween.
Outside of maybe P-Town.
Like Market Days is that's the weekend where you let whatever flag you're flying, you let it fly that weekend.
I'm gonna lower my flag, okay?
And that's a good teaser for a later segment in this episode too.
I'm bringing mine down.
Let's try to set that up for you, boo.
I love it, boo. I love it. But all right, we're 35 minutes in, so let's take a quick tea break. We interrupt this episode for very important information.
That's right. You've been asking for it for a long time, and we have heard you.
Yep, it's been a long time coming, but it's finally here.
Yo
Aunteas
got merch! Hey! That's right. You know what? We got tees, we got long tees, we got sweatshirts, we got fanny packs, there's just a whole gamut of stuff out there, so go and check that out.
We are so appreciative of your love and support, and we are so excited to launch it. Girl, where can we find it at?
Ma'am, they can head right over to minorityReport.com to check out the selection.
That's right. That's MINORITEA report.com.
Woo! I'm about to go get me some myself. Alrighty, ladies. What time is it on this Pride Month?
Ask your
Aunteas. Hey. Dewan, you got it?
I got it. Bear with me, y'all. This is like Ecclesiastes 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
She's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Hey, aunties, I love the show and listen every week. Thank you, boo. With that being said,
nothing else needs to be said. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for listening.
Right.
With that being said, I'm a Black gay man who is 30 years old. Recently, I've started to experience resentment towards my parents, mainly my father, for how he has treated me my whole life, especially after I confirmed to him that I was gay. Notice I said confirmed at the age of 25. My dad did not disown me or say anything hateful, but did stop talking to me for about 4 to 5 months. Though I knew this was wrong, I congratulated him for not being the typical overtly homophobic Black father. But now I'm identifying resentment towards him for not being emotionally present in my life. Also, when I was diagnosed with HIV a couple of years ago, he again stopped talking to me and refused to recognize my being gay and positive. He even purposefully did not attend my party celebrating my 1 year of health after being diagnosed. There seems to be a pattern of him choosing not to deal with me because I'm different from my brother, who is married with 2.5 kids. I don't know how that happens. And a fish.
And a fish.
Sounds like the stereotypical family, yeah.
Right. I have focused on making myself more palatable by becoming a licensed psychotherapist and now working on a PhD to make him unashamed of me. However, he continues to have a very surface level relationship with me. I told you this is long. I'm sorry. One where we only talk about the weather and sports. So, how do I have this conversation with my father as an adult son and not as a therapist? It's clear he doesn't communicate and does not deal with things that make him uncomfortable. I fear that I will begin to exclude him from my life and my future, i.e., exclude him from my future wedding and children's lives, etc., because of his refusal to quote unquote deal with me. Thanks for your time.
Ooh, there's a lot in that, and it's just interesting. I had one kind of frame of thought until it got down to like, how do I talk to him as an adult son and not a therapist? And that's now where I'm trying to like reframe my thought. Jerrell, do you have one? I got to rethink on that now.
Honestly, I would to separate the two. I was just focused on the reality, the fact of your relationship, and come from what you feel and not try to be the therapist and try to assume how he feel or assume why he did something. Just talk about how you felt and ask the questions and give him maybe space to then respond if you decide to have that conversation. In this situation, I probably wouldn't necessarily focus on having a conversation with someone, because the thing with the conversation is, in order for it to be a productive and successful conversation, both parties involved need to want to have to talk. They both are going to want to have to be able to communicate and talk about that. And it sounds like your father may not be someone who by default wants to do that. So I would honestly challenge you to figure out how to find some peace within yourself that may not result in the only way to get closure is to have this conversation, because you might not get out of it what you think you may need in order to move on and have that closure, if that makes sense. So I would say figure out how to come at peace at first to who you are, and then once you have that peace, then maybe have that conversation, because in that way your peace isn't determined based on what he says or doesn't say, if that makes sense. Because if you're determining your peace on whether or not they communicate back to you, you may be waiting forever. And it sounds based off of how their actions have proven, like, treating you differently than your siblings, not and treating you differently when you were diagnosed with HIV, not being there for a 1 year milestone, which is a pretty big fucking deal. Like it sounds like this person isn't necessarily reaching out. And I can say from my experience of actually taking this chance of and having this conversation with both my parents. I had the conversation with my mother when I was 23. It took 4 years for that conversation to actually have the end results. So I want you all to tell you that too. While you may thinking that conversation is going to solve everything, it's not. that conversation is just going to be one of many that you will continue to have on. So while you think about this conversation, I encourage you to figure out how to come at peace with the situation first, because that conversation is going to be one of many. It will not be a one and done thing, because what happens is you are going to have to give space to him to talk about how he feels. And that's going to be something hard for you to receive as well,
Yeah.
because you may have to talk about their trauma and their generational curse, and how some things that were done to them that they may not realize that they done to you. So although you may be coming to them based off of how they treated you,
It's
they are
triggering
going to
something
have,
in them.
right, they're going to be triggered as well, and there may be some shit that they have to unpack that they didn't realize that they passed on to their own children. And I know that from
Yeah.
experience of having to do that with both my mother and my father as well too. So I would say, truly, the best advice: come to peace about loving yourself and knowing that having this conversation is a cherry on the ice cream. It doesn't
Yeah.
make the recipe. It will just be the cherry in the ice cream. And that the children that you have and the wedding that you have, like, all that is going to happen no matter what. And that's where your joy is going to come from at the end of the day. And this is just an added bonus amount of joy.
Yeah, because it seems like the emotional side, it sounds like the dad has a tough time communicating and dealing with the emotional side of things. And that's what the son is craving, is the emotional side of things, like, because he didn't get that ever. So he's doing everything, it seems to try to get that approval emotionally, and nothing's working. So it's like you like Jerrell said, you might have to just, unfortunately and fortunately, come to terms that you might not get that emotional reaction that you're wanting. The additional conversations not give you exactly what you're wanting, and you're gonna have to be fine one way or the other. Um, it it just sucks. Like, it's a pain. It's kind of a painful letter, because it's like
Yeah.
he keeps giving instances of where the dad didn't show up the way he needed to show up for his son. Um, I honestly don't know if there's a way to separate the therapist part and the son part, because you kind of need to explain to him, almost probably in a therapist way, of like why he's reacting the way. But it sounds like you genuinely just want some emotional "I love you for who you are" moment, and I don't think it's gonna be there now. And like Jerrell said, it might need to take time. And it sounds like for him to not talk to you for 4 or 5 months, he's still processing what you told him, processing the baggage he owns, processing whatever might have been triggered, and just does not have the tools to get out what he's thinking and feeling, and things like that. So I don't know. I think, Jerrell, I might have to be on your side on that one and say you might not get what you need now. You might not get it immediately. It might be 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 years down the line for him to process everything. And I know you might feel that it's not fair, but yeah, I don't have a clean answer, honestly. Dewan, what are you
And I
thinking?
think, as a therapist, I think by you being a therapist, you probably understand that there are some things in the situation that you still have to unpack before addressing the situation.
Yeah.
Um, and I only say that because, based off of how you wrote this question, it looks like you are still searching for something, that
Mm-hmm.
you still need some type of closure.
That he's trying to get
And
educated, extra educated on to explain it, and there's
you
no
know,
explanation, honestly, except that he's dealing with his own shit.
yeah. So, but yeah, sorry, Auntie. Go ahead, Dewan.
I agree with a lot of what you all said. There's a couple of thoughts that are pinging for me. I think, Jerrell, you're spot on. Just by the way that this is crafted, I can tell that there's just the fact that you said that, you're building resentment.
Yeah.
That resentment is an indicator of something that is unprocessed within you. And I
Yes.
love how, like, spiritual leaders and healers like Iana Van Zant talk about
Speak to the whole.
I knew you were saying. I knew you.
See, I was trying to keep
I thought it too, though.
I was trying to keep it above ground. I was trying to keep it above the ground. But there's a couple of things that she talks about that I think is universally true. Number one, there are people in your life, especially parents, that that oftentimes don't have to grow. What you were saying, don't have the tools to give you what you think you might have needed. And I think there is a lot of us have been sold into this idea that love is unconditional, even from your own family. But I think for those of us that are gay, and that difference, or for any of us that have something that's different in us, and having to come to terms and accept that difference within us, whatever that difference is, and then have to re-engage with the people around us, with and explaining the difference and leaning more into our own, what makes us different and unique. We oftentimes find ourselves on the outside of feeling loved unconditionally. And a lot of times it's because we've had time to process, think about, come to terms with, grieve, and accept, go through all those different stages of our own being. And then when we come to, our loved one, our friend, our pastor, our whatever, and drop this news to them, even if they might have known it all along or whatever, they still have a process that they have to go through. And that process, you can't dictate what that process is supposed to look like. You may have needs, but you can't dictate what that process needs to look like for them. And just like Jerrell said, it took several conversations for his, family, but it could take several conversations and you still not get anywhere. I think at the end of the day, what my advice is, before you even, first of all, I don't like the fact, personally, and this is just Duan talking, I don't like the fact that you are pursuing higher education as a means to get approval for somebody that you might not get approval from. So if you're pursuing something that that's not feeding your soul, just so that you can please somebody else, you could be setting yourself up for some major failure down the line. So I'm just going to say that. And that, but
what do you mean by them being like a licensed psychotherapist?
No. Like by them pursuing something, for the purpose of he said, for the purpose of his father being proud of, unashamed of him, that
making himself more palatable.
So there is what seems to me is a pattern of behavior that this individual is doing to basically get approval. And that is feeding into the pain and the trauma that you're already experiencing by not getting what you need. So now you're piling on these other things that you think is going to get you the adoration, get you the love, get you that feeling of not being ashamed, by your father, and that may never come. So let's just have a reality check. If you're doing things, do it for you, not for somebody else. Period. Do it for you, not anybody else. Because if you're spending all this time, trying to get licensed up and whatnot, my second point is you don't need to be psychotherapying your father at all. My advice would be, if you want to have a productive conversation with your father, it might be advisable for you to go to see a therapist, and then potentially have, if he's willing to, see a therapist on his own, and then maybe you two can see a therapist together, or some combination of that, where you can have someone who is objective, who can help you both work through this situation together, so that you can come to some kind of a deeper, objective understanding for how to engage with one another, and create maybe some ground rules on what that's supposed to look like. But there is, from what I'm seeing or reading and into the tea leaves of this soliloquy, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of like really dark feelings that would be better served to process that first before then trying to influence someone else to show up differently for you, is what I would say. And in the context of the conversation, with your father, it's not your job to be a therapist for him. It's not. If you want to have a meaningful relationship, you can lean on the principles and the frameworks and the guidance and the practices that you're learning, in terms of how to deal with conflict, how to deal with, self-acceptance, how to, negotiate and work well with others, and all of these kinds. You can utilize those tools, but your role as a son and as a loved one, even if this was your partner or your kids, you should not be psychotherapying anybody that's in your relationship. You can lean on those skills, but it's not your job to be the therapist for those people, because you're already biased. You have a biased view that makes you, it diminishes your ability to be objective. And so that means that influences the advice that you will be giving to almost be self-serving. And that's the complete antithesis of what a psychotherapist or therapist is supposed to do. So
1000%.
I'm sorry, I'm like going on a tangent here.
No, that was good advice.
I would also, from a cultural point as well too, if you say you're in your 30s, I don't like to do this, but I'm going to assume too that your parents are of a generation too where you also can't tell your parents anything too. That's another thing that's very real.
You're right.
He said it was black.
Right. That's why I said it. That's why I said it. That's exactly why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Period.
Because that is a whole dynamic as well too. And so when you add that layer on top of you being a psychotherapist as well too, or working on becoming a psychotherapist, it's gonna seem like you trying to almost, like, I don't want to say belittle them, but older generations have this issue with being like, no, I know more than you. There's no way there's possible that you can know more than me. And that's going to also have a dynamic in that conversation that you have as well too. However, I can speak from from personal experience, having parents who have that kind of mindset. When I was having that conversation, I had to break it down, but like, oh, you know what I remember at 8 years old? Oh yeah, I remember when you were 26 and you were coming home drunk, and you were smoking, you were doing all these things. I was 8 years old. Oh, I remember you when I was 12 doing X, Y, Z, yada, yada, yada. So while you think I was a child, I remember these things, and these things played a factor into who I am and how I am feeling today. So I can actually speak on this because I've already been through it as a child when I had no place going through that as a child. So when you told me to just stay in a child place, there were moments in my life as a child where you took me out of being in a child place because you were out there thoughting and bopping as an adult. So I do have something to talk about because you exposed this to me at a younger age. So I may be 23 or I may be in my 30s, but I've experienced this before because of what you have done to me in my early years of life. So I actually do have some merit to speak on, and I have something behind as far as with the words that are coming out of my mouth, as far as my personal experience. And I think that may be something that may help you as far as separating the two. Talk about your specific moments and that you remember as a child as actual points of references, and not coming to them as a point of where you should have done this. Like, no. Talk about your experience and what you've actually been through that led to how you feel today.
And I think there's also, I'm sorry, just really quickly, I think there's a couple of things that you should also just consider. Everybody in a situation, in a relationship, has their own experience of that situation or relationship. Mm-hmm. So you having an experience of feeling, unloved, unappreciated, not fully seen and whatnot, and there's reasons for that, and that's valid. Your parent, and I'm not excusing or overshadowing or trying to diminish your experience, but they may have a different experience. So even though you were both in the same situation, maybe perhaps their value of expressing love is manifested differently from your parents' perspective. Maybe they express love and I'm keeping a roof over your head, which is something that I didn't have when I was growing up, and putting myself in their shoes, right? So that they didn't have so their expression and how they demonstrate love might be a reflection of what they themselves might have needed. And so that is how they express it for you. And you made your experiences, well, that might not be what I wanted, but that's what you got. So, so I think just acknowledging, giving your parents
the benefit of the doubt sometimes.
I was going to say, let's just take one step back and recognize that you're in your 30s, your parents are of a certain age, and the relationship dynamics between you two will start to, if they haven't already, will start to shift, where hopefully you are now starting to see your parents outside of the lens of parents and for the human beings that they actually are, the fallible
and the flawed human beings that they
fallible are. That's what that word means.
Fallible, exactly.
We're saying the same thing. Like, there comes a point, and I remember distinctly, I was probably 32, 33, I want to say. And I remember that the conversations that I was having with my mom and my dad, separately, were starting to shift where, like, it wasn't where they were giving me advice all the time. We were actually having a two-way conversation. Oh, did you know about this? And like, oh, I didn't know about that. Yes. And that the relationship dynamic shifts a little. You still have the level of respect, because you go up in a black family, you're gonna have put some respect on their names.
Right. Is we finished or is we done?
Right. But
everybody can smoke. Except for grandma. That's the only person on the planet that won't get to smoke. Both my parents didn't got to smoke a few times.
But with your grandma, you understand that level of respect. That's why you say it. There's
So I think as you are, coming into your adultness and you are starting to unpack the relationship that you had, versus the relationship that you wanted, I would encourage you to shift the paradigm away from being fixated on the past and what wasn't, and instead start focusing more on what do you want it to be going forward. Because I think that is a much healthier.
A little bit with that, though.
That's okay. Let me just get it out, and then you can come in and break it down.
And I'm gonna get in right after that, right quick.
because the reason I say that is because the more that we become fixated on the things in the past that we can't change, it prevents us from being able to move forward. And just like I said earlier, I think that there is a level of therapy and unpacking and coming to terms with your own feelings and to work through that. But in terms of and that's within you. But in terms of how you address and engage with your father specifically, I think it might be a healthier choice for you to focus on what would you like it to be at this point going forward, because you can't change the past. And although you may want an apology, maybe you'll get that, maybe, but how is your relationship today? And what do you want that relationship to be? And are you in a place where you can articulate that with your father about, hey, Dad, I've just been thinking about a lot lately, and thinking about our relationship, and I love you so much, and I so appreciate all the things that you've done for me. And it's made me the man I am today. It's made me ambitious. It's made me go after all of these things in life, because I want you to be proud of me. And I want you to be, proud of the things that I've been able to accomplish, because you've given me the tools and the runway to be able to do that. So I wanted to say that. And I also just wanted to, have a man-to-man conversation with you about, like, how does our relationship evolve from here? What does that look like?
That's unhealthy. That's unhealthy.
But hold on, let me get over real quick, because I have a story that ties into that.
Go for it. Yeah.
Go for it. Story tying into that. Like, first, I just want to say, you are enough, especially on this Pride Month. You are enough. you know. And so I want to get that into your head now. Like everything we're saying is about kind of your relationship. Seems like it almost before the relationship, trying to fix the relationship with your dad, you might need to fix the relationship with yourself and know that you are enough. Being a gay black man with HIV feels like you need to still work on that part as well. But then just a story to tie into what Dewan was saying, and I hope my dad's fine with me telling this story. At my dad's, or not my dad, at my grandfather's funeral. So similar to kind of this story, my dad his whole life felt he never got the emotional love that he needed from his dad. And at the funeral, my dad's telling the story saying it took him until I was born to realize, oh man, there's some other things that I took for granted that he gave me that I didn't even know I utilized a lot because I was so focused on the emotional lack. And he said he was at our house and he was like fixing up the house, doing all the like the stereotypical manly stuff, fixing up the house. And he said he was painting the house, and he said, "Here I am, like as like a child, like, wow, Dad, that looks awesome. How did you do this?" Like just like in a child wonder, of, like me looking at my dad, like in awe, and saying, "Wow, how did you learn that?" And he said, "I learned from my dad." And he said he just broke down because it said it took me in awe of something that I at that time couldn't do, and was just like, "Wow, this is incredible," for him to realize. Here I am focused my entire life on thinking I don't have that closeness with my dad. I am mad at my dad for not being able to be there when I needed him, and all this emotional stuff that he genuinely needed, which was very valid and very fair, but didn't even appreciate the other stuff, the other tools that he has in his tool belt that he learned from his dad, the same guy that didn't give him something. It took someone else to point out that he actually got something, you know? So I just say that to share that, yes, your feelings are 1000% valid. There are things that you did not get. You're saying you want that emotional attachment, you needed it, and you still need it. Search it out if you need to. It seems that's what you need the conclusion for. But also look and see potentially like the ambition, the smartness, whatever it may be. He might have also instilled some other stuff in you that's making you the successful gay black man that you are today as well. So that's all I wanted to say on that piece.
Okay, I'm gonna keep this short because I know we've been beating this to death, and I want to save the community because we got other stuff to get to. But I want to say two things. I want to go back to what Dewana mentioned earlier, a statement he talked about like humanizing our parents. That is how I like found peace for myself, remembering that my parents are human and they are going to make mistakes.
1000.
And that is where I was able to find peace. However, I want you to know that that does not excuse a parent's action. So that leads me to my next point, which is that's why I said I found that unhealthy to what Dewana said earlier, because approaches like that makes you have to take a backseat to how you feel. And one of the things that I've learned throughout the therapy that I've been going and battling depression is you do more damage keeping things in than you do letting things out. And an approach like that from someone, from what I'm reading, has something that they need to get out of them. An approach like that does not work in a situation like this. For some people, it could be okay because maybe they don't have that much of a more of an issue with their parents where they could be like, you know what, they did the best they did. I'm okay with that. But when we're talking about trauma that our parents have inflicted on us, to help trauma, you have to fix the root of the problem. You have to figure out what the solution is to know how to move forward. You just can't move forward. You have to know where you came from and undo and figure out what that trauma is that triggers you to know how to move forward. So there is no moving forward without figuring out that stuff in the past.
Can I just clarify
if it's trauma?
Can I just clarify?
Yeah,
so and the reason why I started out my original answer was because I don't believe in this or that. I don't believe that you can get to let's just ignore the past and just work on the future without working on what you need to do for yourself. So the reason I started out with my first answer, which is the therapy route, is because that's the work that needs to happen to do exactly what you're saying. The second part of it is again, from a healthy mindset perspective, from an optimistic perspective, fixating on things that you cannot change is not healthy for you.
But it's not fixating on the things that you can change. Thinking about the past, honey, it's not about changing the past. It's about resolving those unspoken feelings that affect you today. That's not a fixation on the past.
I totally hear. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying, as a concept, fixating on something that's bad is not going to help you. Period. What will help you is understanding, unpacking, questioning, having guidance and support to really understand. So fixating, because most people will fixate. I hate my job. I hate my life. I hate my you fixating on it and not doing anything. Right. Exactly.
Yes, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. That's why I'm sorry they had to get, Auntie Chardonnay had to be a little passionate because at the end of the day, I know that it's not just you, Jerrell, because I don't want people listening to the podcast to take the words and think, oh, he's just glossing over. The hard work is not what you do with other people. The hard work is what you have to do with yourself.
1,000.
That's the hard work. So somebody who is fixated on stuff they can't change and try to compensate. Now, I'm going to ask the community, look up these words when I'm using them, because I'm using them very specifically. When they try to compensate for what they didn't have by doing these things, I got my PhD, I bought a house, I'm getting married, I'm doing this, I went into the military, you are compensating. That's why the second part of it, it becomes overcompensating. But that was the second part of my answer, which is when you are doing things for other people, they are at disservice to yourself. When you're doing things, you should be doing them because they're in service of who you are, how you're wired, and what feeds your soul. Okay. That's not an excuse for bad behavior. But if you're trying to figure out, what should I do in life? What should I do as a career? And then you're making choices. Should I stay in this relationship? Because it's bad, but I don't want to be alone. When you make decisions on trying to make someone else happy versus based on your own happiness, your own wellness, your own healthiness, you're doing that at a disservice to yourself. And that's the second part that I wanted to be clear.
Yeah.
So
clear.
I just wanted to make sure those concepts are crystal clear so that we don't have any misunderstanding.
Because somebody will write them like, I'm catching up on episodes, and on episode 174, you have said
right.
No, you better clarify. No, so thank you for clarifying, because I even, as someone on this right now, didn't get that as well too. So I'm sure someone else would have said that. But the other thing I want to also say as well too, this was my final point that I wanted to wrap up with, is I'm also a firm believer of, I definitely rock with this new age group of young people, and the fact of, I truly believe that as a child, we don't need to be hyping parents up necessarily or all the time for doing what they should have been done, because we were not asked to be brought into this world. And I am grateful that my parents chose to do what they were supposed to do. But at the end of the day, I also am, and I've told my parents this, I don't owe you anything for choosing to be a good parent, because I didn't choose to be here, So I'm definitely also a believer of making sure to have that conversation with my parents, because some parents will be like, oh, well, I kept a roof over your head, or I kept food on the table, or I did this. And I'm like, well, that's what you were supposed to do. I just want you to know that.
But I hear you, and I agree. But I hope also we keep the human part in it, because sometimes we don't know the struggle of keeping a roof over or food on the table when we gave it to you and I didn't eat for 2-3 days and things like that.
As a weapon to hush your feelings,
right. I get
that's
that,
unacceptable.
But that's the point I hear you on that. About. That's why I said I heard you. But I just wanted to clarify another part of it too.
But if a parent does that, that's not okay. Period. It's never okay for a parent to overshadow your trauma or your experience because they were going through too. Because in this situation, you are the child.
Right,
Like,
1000%.
so it's
But
not supposed to be on the child in those situations to be thinking like that. Does that make sense?
But I think to just simply dismiss their own trauma, yes, you are the parent for 1000%. But I think if there's a way to handle it and say it that also keeps in mind that they might have been unloaded trauma from someone, and we're beating a dead horse right now, but also there's trauma and baggage that they might not have been afforded the capability, the opportunity to handle because they were trying to make sure that their kid, so it's like this.
Right. So
we always say this generational,
so like what Dewan
habitual
said, to clarify,
things.
Again, like for me to clarify, I'm talking specifically for when you are having conversations with parents and you are expressing your trauma and you're expressing how you felt as a kid, and they try to quiet or belittle how you felt or your experience because of what they were going through. Right. That is not acceptable. And I want to be crystal clear on that. I'm not saying go in there and be like, oh, well, I don't give a fuck. You were supposed to do that. And I'm ungrateful. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it is not okay for parents to use it as a weapon to silence you. Because that is a conversation that I've had to have with my own parents and be like,
1000.
Sorry, I know you did the best you could do, but guess what? You still fucked up. And I'm okay with that because guess what? I have humanized you and I know that you were going to fuck up because I'm an adult and I've also fucked up. So I've learned that my parents are human as well too. So guess what? Now you're going to have to understand and come to the terms of you fucking up just like I did as well too. You're not going to use that against me.
And continue to send your. We got to get off of this one because we got one more. Go ahead though.
No, I was just going to say I love the fact that our community opens up to us and shares
1000%
like this. Because again, this is the value of having your aunties with varying degrees of personal experience, and we're all going. You never know what's going on behind closed doors and what people are dealing with, and so
1000.
the fact that we can be a resource, for people to share some things that they're struggling with, and get some, oftentimes very different perspectives just to consider and chew on and figure out what's going to work best for them. I think it's a real honor and a privilege that we have.
The vulnerability that they write in with. I'm like, woo.
So it encourages us to be vulnerable too, and that's why I had it. Yeah. Like if you're gonna be that vulnerable, I am always gonna meet you that same
1000.
I appreciate it.
So continue to send your questions to aya@minoritetyreport.com or DM us, or you see us out and about on the beach in our Speedo in Palm Springs. Hit us with a question.
that got a tiny little bit heated. I forgot who it was, Curl, this weekend. Like,
it was me.
It was you. We haven't had a good little in a little bit, and we had a little bit,
a scooch,
yeah. But I told them.
And what did we also say? We said, who's the common denominator?
I said me. I said I've grown so much. I've learned to have a few emotions.
And she back in there. She like, I'm back home.
She said, "These ain't rings, these brass knuckles."
I know. She's like, it hasn't happened in a while because I've grown. And 24 hours later. Let me make this crystal clear. Okay, then peace, man. Shit. All right, I wanted to play it quick because it is Pride Month. It's the first day of the month for us right now as we record this. So happy Pride, yes, bitches.
Yes.
And so I wanted to play a quick little game with you guys because we haven't done the Curiosity segment in a little while to see. So like at work, they sent out this article, and I was surprised they sent out this article talking about just the different gay flags that are out there. And I was like, okay, look at corporate America trying to educate me on these damn flags because I didn't know them all. So I was like, ooh, let's see if you guys could guess what some of these flags are about. And I'll probably maybe put some of these as clips and things like that to have the community chime in. So let's see here. We'll do... And if I could get this into the... So you're going to have to click on it because it's for some reason not showing up in the chat. So you're going to have to click on them. And then let me try to get back to the article to make sure I remember which one is what. Okay, let's see here. Click on it. And so community, just to describe it, the top of the flag is... So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 black bars going horizontal.
4 bars.
and it goes from black to gray to white to purple. What do you think this flag represents?
Okay, this one is, I believe it's asexual.
Okay, and DeJuan, what are you thinking?
I'm gonna say questioning. Like the Q,
right.
Clear questioning.
Jerrell, you got it right. It's the asexual pride flag.
Okay.
Yeah. And for those that don't know what asexual means, and everything is not that black and white, but for a gray terminology is one that kind of lacks a sexual attraction to all genders, whether that be male, female, non-binary. Usually they just don't have a sexual attraction, but that's even a spectrum even in of itself of asexuality and things.
But you can still be romantically attracted to people, but not be sexually attracted to people. So that's when we say there's a gray area to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So all right, so this next one, let's see here. Oh damn, hold on.
When Kerrell said that the pride flags with an S, I'm like, oh Lord.
He's like,
there's
what?
More than one?
And I was like, plural, girl.
I mean, I know that there are other flags that are out there, but you don't know what they are.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bisexual.
Okay, DeJuan.
Oh, I didn't open it.
Oh.
So this one for the community, while DeJuan has opened it, is pink with purple in between and then blue at the bottom of the flag.
And the purple is kind of like less than, so it's almost like not quite 2/3 of the pink, not quite 2/3 of the blue, and then like a third, not quite of purple.
Yeah, I agree with Auntie Jerrell and say bisexual.
It is the bisexual flag. Go ahead, Jerrell. The ding, 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 ding. Yes, and this.
That's what I used to identify as for a while, for the longest time. Truly, okay. I came out as bisexual, then I identified as gay, and then I identified as bisexual again. But yeah. So.
Yeah, you got that one. All right. Okay. She said, I'm gonna come in this and know all of them. She said, I'm 2 for 2. Okay, let's see if you get this one. And I gotta click on it and make sure I'm looking at the right one. And so this one too, this is gonna be hard to kind of. It's a well, no, it's not hard. It's like a bright blue on top, red in the middle, black on the bottom. With in the middle of the red portion is like a pi sign.
Oh shit! I used to know this one too.
I'm gonna say gay Pisces. That's what I'm gonna say. That's my guess.
That's not gay Pisces. Hold on, I'm trying to find the answer.
Is it demisexual?
It is. Hold on, I'm keeping on scrolling down this article because I think I've done past it. And bear with me. So you said demisexual, and DeJuan, you said what now?
I said gay Pisces.
So it's the Kerrell flag,
right? If you were born in May, if you were born in March,
right?
So no, it's the polyamory for
polyamory. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yep, it's the polyamory.
Yes. And what is the pi symbol?
I don't know. Maybe poly.
That's how you get pi, because pi, and then polyamorous is how the different colors go into it.
No.
What?
Right. Okay. I don't know if that
like
makes
it's
sense.
a mathematical term and how you get there. I guess.
Let's see here. It says the red. Let's see here. Blue means openness and honesty of all parties involved. Red, love and passion. Black, the solidarity with those who must hide their polyamorous relationships. Then Evans placed a yellow pi symbol in the center of the flag with the infinite number representing the infinite options for partners available to polyamorous people. Yeah, okay. So that's what it's
pi, like I said. Yeah.
Let's see here. An alternate version of this flag, by the way,
created in 2017. I know a little something. I got it wrong, but I understood it.
Replaced so one that in 2017 replaces the pi symbol with the infinity heart symbol.
See, that to me makes more sense.
Yeah.
That to me makes more sense than the pi one.
Okay, so the next one I put in there, go ahead and click on it. So this one's all bright yellow with a purple circle in the middle.
Oh shit, I definitely don't know this one. Damn. Let me think. I would say
I'm gonna say intersex.
That's what I was gonna say is intersex as well too.
Okay, yeah. So 2 intersexes, and it's the intersex pride flag. What made you think intersex, Dewan?
Because the symbol is a circle, and I was thinking about the male and the female, the binary of the male and the female, and how they have the offshoots, and it didn't have the offshoots, so just the and I was also doing the process of elimination.
Yeah.
She was going through the alphabet like
money. I know that's right. All right, so I just dropped another one in there.
And by the way, learners, that was a yellow like flag with a purple circle in the middle of it.
Yep.
An open
we
purple
know that's
circle.
one.
So
what is it, Dewan?
This is the
you
Bears.
Seen this one? And
this the Bears.
Yeah, that's the Bears one. That's the like
it's the leather pride flag.
Yeah, leather pride. Yeah, the leather pride.
That's not Bears.
It's not Bears because that's the claw. That's the claw.
Right.
You're right. Oh, we bad. We shouldn't lump them all together like that. That's true. We knew that it was leather, but we associated leather with Bears, and that's, or at least I did. So that's my beat. That's my beat.
And I said I started this by talking about IML weekend. So I mean,
right? It's like we don't say that.
But I should have known.
Yeah,
we knew better.
And so this one had black. It's like it goes black, blue, white stripe in the middle, blue, black, with a heart in the upper left quadrant, with the heart stem pointing towards the middle.
You know
that's the leather pride flag.
This flag is a little traumatizing to me. I ain't gonna lie. I'm just gonna put it out there because it's too close to the police motherfucking flag. So
well, I'm sure a lot of the leather flag probably originally came from like that police thing because there's the leather and things like that. So I'm sure that's what it originally.
I'm just saying it's a little
too black and blue.
Yeah, with the white stripe in there too. No, I'm
not the white stripe. I'm done with you. I know that's right. All right, so I put another one in there. Oh, no, I think I've clicked on the wrong one. So hold on, let me try to figure this one out real quick. So this one has a
that's the
yellow stripe. Yellow stripe at the top.
Yeah.
White, then purple, then black at the bottom. And what did you say, Jerrell?
Demisexual.
You said demi, and Dewan, what are you thinking?
That sounds good to me.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to find it real quick on here. Man, there's a lot of flags, so sorry. Bear with me here. I thought I had them in order, and clearly I didn't. It's not demi because I just passed it.
Oh, is
so
it?
This one, once I get to, okay, here it is. It's actually the non-binary pride flag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I need to look at the demisexual one because that's what I identify as now.
Yep. So that one is the non-binary. We'll do a couple more here. Okay. And this is where I miss my computer at home because usually I would have this up here on my other monitor. Let's see here. Did we do this one? I don't think we did. So this one has at the top a brown stripe, then kind of like a burnt orange, yellow, like a pale yellow, white, gray, black. And they're all horizontal. It's not letting you open it?
Oh, okay. There it is.
And it's the faces for me.
I don't know.
It's not. This is not the queer people of color flag.
That's kind of what I was getting. It feels very inclusive. You know, it's giving me very like almost All Lives Matters vibe. But
this is the Bear Brotherhood pride flag. So y'all just mentioned it. I was like, y'all don't know the Bear flag? So
wait a minute, but the bear flag has the paw on it.
Sometimes you'll see the paw, but usually you'll see
that don't count. No, that don't count. See,
no, but usually you'll see this.
I was looking for them Eve. The titty pop prints on there, bitch. Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Yes.
But like even on that Paul one, the background is these colors. And this one was started in 1995. It says the members of the International Bear Brotherhood, comprised of gay men with a specific set of physical traits, including facial hair and a sturdy build, got their own flag in 1995. The dark brown, orange, golden, yellow, white, gray, black stripes of the flag represent the fur colors of the animal the group is named after. So there we go. All right, let's see here. We'll do one more here. Let's see here.
This is fun, by the way.
Yeah, you like it? We'll do this one. And this one has a yellow stripe, a purple stripe in the middle, a gray one at the bottom, and then a triangle pointing with the
That's
top
me.
Right.
That's my people. That's the one that I thought the other one was. That is demisexual.
Oh, you must have just looked it up on your phone.
No. Well, yes, I honestly I did. Honestly, I did because I confused the other one as that. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah. So that's the demisexual one.
Yeah, that is me. That is what I identify as demisexual. Yes.
And what does demisexual mean, Jerrell?
Yeah, so it's a person who expresses sexual attraction only after a strong emotional bond. So like attraction comes from an emotional bond first. You have to emotionally be stimulated to someone to have a sexual bond, and it's not based off of a sexual orientation at all.
Like a physical
physical.
And I felt a lot that's like
about,
in your like spectrum a little bit too.
No,
like I know you like
to be able to sleep with women. You got to be able to sleep with all sorts of people in orientations. Yeah,
that's why I said the spectrum. I don't know where the other part of it is within it, but I do. At least Dewan said many times on here, just like usually he likes to have his brain stimulated first, to kind of build that bond before you could kind of be super attracted to someone. So
well, you can add those things to like demi queer or demi poly, and like you will see people who are like demi gay who are sexually attracted to other gay men, but in order for that to happen, it has to become from an emotional connection first. So people who all of us who didn't identify as demi, we know that there is a scale within being demi, if that makes sense.
So I mean, there's flags out there for rubber pride. There's polysexual. There's aromantic pride. I mean, lesbian obviously pride out there. There's ally pride flags. So there's so many prides, and it was just cool that a corporate said, "Hey, look at all these different prides." Because I mean, like being in corporate America, talking about poly and demi and this and that, I was like, "Damn, that's fly." And it educated myself, someone that thought he was pretty up to speed with a lot of them. And I was like, man, I didn't know this was the flag and things like that. Because obviously I was familiar with like the original gay pride flag and the trans flag and like the new one now that kind of inclusive of black and brown folks and things like that and the trans community. But to see these other ones, I was like, okay, that's cool. And we should be up on some of these just to make sure our community feels well respected,
Absolutely.
So
can I say one thing? I just want to let people know too that things can change and evolve over time.
1,000.
I personally, when I came out as bisexual, partially because I was sleeping with women and I was attracted to men, and I also thought that would just be easier for people to digest. And then when I came more, like comfortable in my queerness, I was like, oh no, I'm gay. I just want to, just all I care about. But then I realized, no, but I actually am still, sexually attracted to women as well too. And then I realized I'm sexually attracted to a lot of different type of people out there. It just really depends on that connection. And that's how I found myself being able to label myself as someone that's demisexual. So like it can be an evolution as well too.
Yeah. And honestly, I haven't even thought too deeply on where I am in all that spectrum. I do know I just love me some dudes. Do know that. But yeah, so that
dark skin, my
Asian persuasion, honey. 1,000. They'd be like, oh, what's your type, Kerrell? I'm like, the UN, the whole United Nations.
The you and me.
Honey, period. You and me and you, all the above. Ski, ski, ski. Hey.
Cassie, it's me and you.
Right. It's me and you. It's just me and you. And him, and him, and him, and him, and them.
You sound like Steamworks over there. Come on, man.
Hey, I mean, don't judge my life. And then just quickly, we know there's just still a lot of craziness going on in like the what's the town of Texas?
Uvalde.
Thank you, Uvalde. I'm still lost of words because it just with the more that's coming out, it sounds like the police fucked up shit and all kinds of things, and they're trying to like sweep it underneath the rug. And this only happens to Black and brown communities like this. Like you know, that there's just this much mishandling going on. Yeah. So we got to continue to speak up for ourselves. We got to continue to vote folks in, because that's how you vote, like the sheriff and the things like that. That's how you get these people into these positions. So you might just be voting for the presidential election saying, how do we get this sheriff? Because your ass was still on the couch not voting. So this is stuff that we need
August,
to.
when you were supposed to be voting on the middle
on
of
an off year,
right? Mm-hmm.
And so it's not to like point fingers or anything by any means, but like let this be the moment where we could get up and vote these people in that are actually going to look out for us, to actually make change in our communities, because they're clearly not looking out for us. So I don't want to belabor it or anything like that, you know, because I know it's a lot of trauma behind it and a lot of sadness and grief behind it. But we got to do something for our communities. So, happy Pride again. Happy Pride again. Happy Pride again. Be proud of yourself. And wash your
be
hands.
proud of being people of color in these spaces too.
1,000.
I just want to remind everyone. Auntie Jerrell wants to remind everyone: be proud of being a person of color in here, and don't let the white gay agenda be like, you can't come in here. Nah, bitch, kick that motherfucking door down.
Like a Sigma.
This is the one time they can't say shit, but oh, you can't sit with us? No, bitch. Yes, the fuck I can.
And on that note,
right, wash your hands, wash your legs, wash your ass. Bye.
And be kind.